Professor George Magoha was one of Kenya's most formidable surgeons, academic administrators, and public servants, a man whose career was defined by discipline, intensity, and an unwavering belief in institutional order. Admired by supporters for his decisiveness and feared by critics for his abrasive leadership style, Magoha left an indelible mark on Kenya's medical, academic, and education sectors. George Magoha was born on July 2, 1952, in Kisumu, Kenya, to Bernard Boniface Magoha and Joan Sarah Alu Magoha. His childhood was shaped by adversity early on. As a young boy, he suffered from chronic asthma, a condition that forced a major change in his upbringing. For health reasons, he was relocated from Kisumu to Nairobi, where he lived under the care of his elder brother, John Obare, and his wife, Agatha. This move proved pivotal, exposing him to a more structured urban environment that would later influence his rigid, disciplined worldview. Magoha grew up in a large family and maintained close ties with his siblings throughout his life. Among them were Professor Richard Nyabera Magoha, his younger brother, who later became an academic and passed away in Texas in December 2022, and Charles Agunga Magoha, who died in Sweden in August 2021. Family remained central to his identity, even as professional demands dominated much of his life. Magoha began his primary education at Jina Primary School in Yala between 1960 and 1963, before transferring to Dr. David Livingstone Primary School in Nairobi, where he studied from 1964 to 1966. His academic promise earned him admission to the prestigious Starahe Boys Centre and School, where he completed his O-levels between 1967 and 1970. He later proceeded to Strathmore School, completing his A-levels from 1971 to 1973. His ambition to pursue medicine took him beyond Kenya's borders. He secured a scholarship to study human medicine at the University of Lagos in Nigeria, where he earned his Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery (MBBS) degree in 1978. This marked the beginning of a lifelong association with Nigeria, not only professionally but personally as well. Following his undergraduate studies, Magoha undertook rigorous postgraduate training in surgery and urology, establishing himself as a highly skilled urologist and transplant surgeon. He trained at the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, where he rose from intern to senior resident and clinical lecturer, completing his specialist training in 1985. His advanced medical education extended across continents. He was admitted to the Royal College of Surgeons in Dublin, Ireland, in 1980, and later trained at the Royal Postgraduate Medical School at Hammersmith Hospital in London in 1983, specializing in renal transplant and urology.
He also undertook further postgraduate training at University College Hospital, Ibadan in Nigeria. To complement his clinical expertise, Magoha pursued executive management training at Stanford University's Graduate School of Business, equipping himself for leadership roles beyond the operating theater. Over the years, he earned numerous professional fellowships, including those of the Royal College of Surgeons, Ireland, the West African College of Surgeons, the International College of Surgeons, the African Academy of Sciences, and the College of Surgeons of East, Central, and Southern Africa. In 1988, Professor Magoha joined the University of Nairobi, UON, as a lecturer in surgery. His rise through the academic ranks was swift and decisive. By 2000, he had become a full professor of surgery. He went on to hold several senior administrative positions, including chairman of the Department of Surgery, dean of the Faculty of Medicine, and principal of the College of Health Sciences. In 2002, he was appointed deputy vice-chancellor in charge of administration and finance, and in 2005, he made history by becoming vice-chancellor of the University of Nairobi, the first to be appointed through a competitive process. He served in this role until 2015, a decade marked by sweeping reforms. He was credited with ending chronic student unrest, restoring financial discipline, and transforming UON into a more commercially driven institution. However, his aggressive expansion of self-sponsored programs later drew criticism and scrutiny, with concerns raised about academic quality. After leaving the University of Nairobi, Magoha entered national public service. In 2016, he was appointed chairman of the Kenya National Examinations Council, KNEC. During his tenure, he launched an uncompromising crackdown on examination cheating, famously declaring war on cartels within the education system. His reforms dramatically reduced exam malpractice, but also generated fear and controversy. In March 2019, President Uhuru Kenyatta appointed him Cabinet Secretary for Education, a position he held until late 2022. As CS, Magoha became the face of some of the most ambitious and contentious education reforms in Kenya's history. He oversaw the nationwide rollout of the Competency-Based Curriculum, CBC, enforced the 100% transition policy from primary to secondary school, and steered the education sector through unprecedented disruptions caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Professor Magoha was widely known for his no-nonsense, authoritarian leadership style. While some praised his efficiency and decisiveness, others criticized what they saw as humiliation, insensitivity, and micromanagement. In 2020, he sparked national outrage after publicly berating and calling an elderly county education officer a fool, an incident that led the Public Service Commission to strip him of certain human resource powers.
In 2021, his directive barring LGBTQ+ students from boarding schools drew condemnation from human rights groups. A year later, in 2022, he ignited further backlash after ethnically profiling a journalist during a press briefing, asking whether she was associated with al-Shabaab. These incidents cemented his reputation as one of Kenya's most polarizing public officials. Critics also accused him of running the Ministry of Education like a military camp, particularly in his strict enforcement of examination protocols and rigid handling of CBC implementation, which many parents and teachers said placed excessive financial and psychological pressure on learners. Behind the stern public image was a deeply private family man. Professor Magoha was married for over 40 years to Dr. Barbara Odudu Magoha, a Nigerian-born consultant obstetrician and gynecologist. The couple met in 1972 as medical students at the University of Lagos. Dr. Barbara went on to become a respected consultant at Kenyatta National Hospital, a lecturer at the University of Nairobi, and the honorary consul of Mali in Kenya. They had one son, Dr. Michael Augustus Achianja Magoha, a neurosurgeon and lecturer at the University of Nairobi. Professor Magoha often spoke with pride of his son and held his daughter-in-law in such affection that he referred to her as the daughter I never had. Despite their demanding careers, the family maintained a close-knit bond, with Dr. Barbara describing their marriage as a partnership guided by their 80-20 rule, focusing on shared values and minimizing differences. During his vetting as cabinet secretary in March 2019, Magoha declared a net worth of Kenya shillings 250 million. His wealth stemmed from real estate investments, treasury bills, fixed deposits, income from his medical practice, royalties from his autobiography, George Magoha, Tower of Transformational Leadership, and revenue from a Safaricom communication mast installed on his property. His properties included a luxurious multi-level residence in Lavington, Nairobi, which served as his primary home, and an expansive rural mansion in Umiru Village, Gem Yala, Siaya County, surrounded by over 2 million trees, a reflection of his environmental consciousness. After his death, the High Court granted Dr. Barbara Magoha authority to manage his estate, though the final valuation was not publicly disclosed. Professor George Magoha died on January 24, 2023, at the age of 71 after suffering a cardiac arrest.
He reportedly collapsed at his Nairobi home and was rushed to the Nairobi hospital, where he collapsed multiple times despite desperate resuscitation efforts by his son and medical teams.
According to close family friend Professor Walter Mwanda, Magoha appeared to have sensed his impending death, calling his family together and stating that his time had come just hours before he passed away. His death came only days before the planned burial of his younger brother, Professor Richard Nyabera Magoha, compounding the family's grief. Professor George Magoha's legacy is complex and enduring. He was a brilliant surgeon, a relentless reformer, and a leader who believed deeply in discipline, order, and results. To supporters, he was a transformational figure who restored integrity to institutions long plagued by decay. To critics, he was authoritarian and insensitive. Yet few dispute that his impact on Kenya's education system, higher learning, and public administration will be felt for generations.